We're here at Anime Week in Atlanta. My name is Rico Figliolini, host of this podcast. And we're here with DC Douglas. DC?
Hey!
Thanks for coming out.
Thanks for having me.
You're enjoying the con, I understand?
Yes.
Is this the first time you've been to this one?
To AWA, yeah. I've done Dragon Con like 6 or 7 times, I think. But this is my first other Atlanta experience.
Really?
And yeah, and it's pretty wild. It's
Now,
pretty wonderful.
you're from LA?
Yeah.
Okay, so how are you finding Atlanta this time of year?
This time, actually, interesting because I'm used to coming when it's really muggy out, and all,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
I'm one of those weird people that I love humidity because
Really?
it's great for my hair, but also it's good for your skin, it's good for your vision. So I was like, I wanted to just bring my shorts and sandals like I usually do,
Mm-hmm.
and then I checked the weather. I'm like, you get cold at night
Oh,
at this
yeah,
time of year,
yeah,
and I'm
yeah.
like, so now I'm pants and boots. So
It's going to drop down to about 45 or something. So.
Yeah, you see-
Which is not bad. Yeah.
no, but it's like now it's a little more. Now this is a little more like LA weather right now. So
Okay.
yeah.
I'm from New York, so doing this weather, it's not too bad, but
Right.
I prefer staying to the muggy, I think.
Your accent and a name like Rico, it's like, and you're like, I'm from New York. Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, I haven't lost. I've been here since '95, so it doesn't.
You don't want to lose it. It's so nice.
No, thanks. I appreciate that. Your career has been like all over the place. I think.
Yeah, that's a great way to describe it.
No, in a great way. In a great way. You've been on major sitcoms. You've been on soap operas. You've done games. You've done Family Guy. I mean.
Yeah, well, that was the Family Guy thing's weird actually. So
Is it? Tell me
yeah,
about that
it's an interesting audition process, and he gets very particular about things, and he usually ends up wanting to do the voices himself, or he wants us. I'm sorry, I shouldn't say that. Sometimes I think he wants the actors to do his performance in their voice.
Okay.
Thing.
Okay.
And so the one that I'm actually credited with 2, but I only did 1. And it was one line as Superman, where we're the Super Friends. And so that's it. That's the line. But he auditioned like, I don't know, 50 people. And he said, and he would always, it's always the same thing when you go into audition. He's like, no one seems to be able to get this. And so he's very particular. And I got that, but I literally got it by impersonating him, doing the line as a line read in the audition.
Oh, that was smart.
And then the other one was a Star Wars episode for just for one line for some stormtrooper. Can't even remember the line, but first off, the casting director made a huge deal about how he's been looking for 2 weeks and hasn't found it. Like 2 weeks for one line for this thing, and he couldn't find the person to do the line right. And they go, so they'd like to see you, and I'm like, I don't want to walk into that because I remember what it was like the last time, and I went in and literally, like, you could tell he was so disappointed with me, and I tried. I gave it like 8 different line reads of it. He tried to give me a line read, and I did it, but I thought I did it, but no, and I could just tell he was like, okay, thanks. Like, of course, I didn't get it, but I'm credited. So what I think is they maybe use it as a temp and then later scrapped it for something else for his own voice, and then just gave me the credit being nice. Yeah.
Oh, that was very nice.
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
well, okay.
terrific.
So, it's amazing. When you look at a bio and stuff, and you see a person's history of work, but you don't know what goes behind it, whether it's one line or if you just.
Oh, right, yeah.
So that's kind of cool. And the process.
All my stuff has been major. I've been the star of everything.
Don't we all want to be?
But that's a weird thing. Like with IMDb, you look at the credits, and you scroll down. So I think mine is like 300 and something, and so you go, holy cow! Like, you must be working every day. And it's like, well, now, but like, look at the timeline,
Right?
And it's literally 40 years in LA, and then so it's like a kaleidoscope. You put all these things up together and look at it all at one time, and you're like, wow, that's a beautiful design. And really, each year is just a couple little dots on each one of the slides.
Wow. So what do you find being, that pays the bills? What is it that's been a regular?
Sex work is usually my OnlyFans, by the way, is no.
Right.
It's for me. You see, I moved to LA to be an on-camera actor. Didn't even know what voiceover was. Okay. I accidentally auditioned for a voiceover coach during the time I was looking for school. And so when I finally found the school, I had 6 months before the next semester started. Mm-hmm. So I went to her because she said I had a good voice and I should think it, and she was really inexpensive. So I studied with her for 6 months, learned a lot of the technical side of voiceover, and she was really big in the 60s and 70s in voiceover. Mm-hmm. And she said, so you should really think about this as a way to make supplementary income. Mm-hmm. And I still didn't. And it wasn't until I started getting, I had a commercial agent, non-union commercial agent at the time, it was non-union, and she started saying, you've got a good voice, you need a demo reel. Got me a demo reel by Michael, what's his name? Michael Sorvich, who's a voice actor. You know him, he's been in a lot of stuff, a lot of games. He did my first demo reel in like 1990 or something, and he put it together. And so it's funny. Like he just directed me a couple weeks ago in a game. So it started with that, and then I auditioned for things, and I would get them. And then I do like these like non-union trailers for these horrible movies. I fell into Walla, which introduced me to some production houses. And then if they like you, they sometimes remember you for a certain thing. From that, I got the voice of an AT&T ride at Epcot Center. Okay. I'm no longer there. I don't think the ride exists anymore. It was like the ride of the future, which is now the past. Yes. So anyway, so it just kind of all fell. And then this side of it, the whole video game and anime stuff, my first video game was 2000. So I moved to LA in 85, and so, or 2001 I think, it was called Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And the only reason I got it is the actor who played the role in the series, like, video games, poo-poo. Really? Of course, now they're all in it and dying to be in it and stuff.
Yes. The royalties.
Yeah. So, sadly, we don't get residuals. No. The stars get huge buyout fees, so that's why they want to do it. Okay. But we just get scale, and we don't get. We finally worked out a residuals deal. I know you guys don't want this too much.
No. This is good.
All right, a little inside baseball. No, but they finally worked out a residuals deal on this because they said, "Look, you're actually doing better than the movie industry," and so it's like a fraction of a penny after like a million sales. Really? So Is that
from the new strike?
No, this was like they negotiated this like 5 years ago or so, and it's like I've only seen one residual check, and it was actually because they converted the game from I recorded it .hack. I did Gabby in that and Ty Hike. Anyway, I can't remember, but they converted it from whatever they used to play it on in like 2006. And they converted it to a new platform, and so we all got, this is thanks to Cup of Tea Productions, they renegotiated it as a SAG conversion, so we all get a nice residual check for that. And that was the first time ever I got a residual check for a video game.
Very nice. Yeah. So does the current strike
or
is that something?
It's kind of a rolling thing in that they're dealing with different where different contracts are up for negotiation. Right. The video games one was tabled for a year, so that's now back on. Not the strike, but the negotiations. And I don't even know if they've actually met yet or not, but it's about to happen. We just authorized striking on the video game side if we have to, but we don't. We're not struck yet. So a lot of the voiceover is not affected by the strikes the strike that has been going on. Obviously they're going to. Well, they have to address the AI thing because that's really big in video game stuff.
Yeah, I've seen some of the AI stuff, chat. I've played with some of that stuff.
It's amazing some of it, like you can have, so the NPC characters, they can literally just program it with an intention to get you to do something, and then the rest of, and we give it a backstory and all that, have a modeled voice that they use for it, and you can have a conversation with that NPC player all day long, and it will be unique the entire time.
And you would know the difference.
And you would know the difference, really. Except right now, the voice style, it sounds human, there's breathing, and a lot of times it's kind of passable, but when the longer it goes, you start to see that it's like they're on lithium or something. There's a little bit of a limit in their range of emotion. But that's going to change within a year or two. But what they're going to want to do is it's the way that the stuff, it's not just going to like synthesize new voices all the time just easily, it needs to pull from actual voices. So I think what's going to happen is that we're going to license our voices. So we will go in, we will have a session where they model the voice for that game. The contract says you can use this modeled voice only in this game, not for other games. If you want to, then you have to pay a royalty fee for that voice. And that to me, I think is like the ethical way of doing it.
And that could go into perpetuity for your state, your kids.
Well, that's what it will be, yeah. But I mean, if you imagine, it's like all of a sudden there's like all these games that can't afford to bring in live sessions or don't want to, like they'd rather just the computer run it. But you'll just get checks for those games that your voice is used in. It'll be hard to track though.
It'll be like those stock websites where you get the images. It'll be just like that.
Yeah.
You just pick up the sound
and stuff. So for NPCs, I see that happening. I think for lead characters, I think people are still going to want to at one point know that there's an actor behind it. I'm hoping that that's the case. But because one of my theories about this is that if you look at what happened with the pandemic and we all went remote, we all went onto Zoom, and like doctor stocks went up and all that, and people were like, well, this is the future anyway. Even when the pandemic's over, we're all going remote and all this stuff. But the pandemic ended, and well, sort of with a whimper. And but what happened is that people were dying for human contact.
Yeah.
So people didn't want to do teledoc. They wanted to go into their doctor's office and meet their doctor.
Yeah.
People didn't want to have their meetings always on Zoom. They wanted, like, for me as voice actors, it's like we were all doing it from home, and it's like I want to go into the studio, even if the client is going to be remote. At least I want to say hi to the engineer. I want human contact.
Yeah.
So I think that there may be a wave of just a lot of licensed voices in these games, and then eventually they're going to go. We want. Here's what's going to give us the edge in this game. We're going to bring actual humans in to do these roles, things. So I think it'll be a little bit of that.
Okay.
But I think audiobooks going all to AI, all corporate narration industrials going to AI, live action dubbing. Definitely AI. Why? They can take the voice of the actors actually performing, turn it into the new language, and they can deep fake the lips on the fly.
Wow.
So it'll just be like they did the entire film in that
So
language.
if there's a mess up, they can actually just go and fix it. And
It's just
bring
like
the actor
they don't need to
back.
bring exactly, and it's literally you know, like now when you're on Instagram and you go put captions on this,
Yeah.
and it's like it just goes
Yeah.
captions. That's what they're gonna do. Change this to French, and this is the guy and his lips.
That's right.
And it'll go through the whole thing.
Every time I ask Sarah to text something, she keeps reminding me, by the way, you can send it automatically without saying anything. I'm like, not the way you're doing it, because that transcription is off.
Yeah.
So you still want to be careful with that.
Yeah, I'll see you at the pantry later tonight. What? The pantry? Why are we going to eat at the pantry?
That's right. But with your voice, it's distinguishing. You might be able to get it right.
No,
With me,
actually, sometimes because of my low voice, it does other weird things.
Does
So
it?
yeah, autocorrect doesn't like me.
It's funny that way. You do a lot of different cultural characters too now. A lot
Well,
of
this is
different-
where we're getting into the weird area.
It's just
Wait, what do you mean?
linguistics, backgrounds. How do you set your mind to doing certain characters that might be of a different cultural background, maybe? That I'm not talking about fantasy characters. I'm really talking about what would be a good example?
You're talking about like the anime stuff?
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
just
Well, the
based in
anime.
Japanese culture?
I mean, the
Because
anime stuff. I mean,
because the thing is that's usually covered in the writing of the characters, so I don't have to worry about that too much.
Okay.
There's only so much. Also, a lot of times we'll get cast as something and it's code named project, so we still don't know. I mean, it could be all of a sudden Star Trek and we don't know it. And the character is Lieutenant 5. And that's all I've got to go on. And I know that, so you know what you auditioned with is not what actually is the script. So I don't know nothing until I get into the session. And they go, here's a picture of your character, here's the story, here's what's going on in this scene right here. And now we record. So there's not much prep time. I can't go, wait a minute, I want to research Japanese culture for this character here. Right.
Okay.
But then that's what your director and producers are there for. They fill in if vocally you're going in a weird way for it. So, but usually it's covered in the writing, yeah.
We've been here with DC Douglas, and we've been talking about anime, voiceovers. We've been talking about AI, really.
And I've not shut up at all.
No, you've been doing a great job. I have questions, but who the heck needs them? They don't need questions. But it's been a great time, and I do appreciate your time.
Oh, thank you. It's
Thank
lovely
you so
meeting
much.
you.
Yeah, no,
Yes.
this was great.
Thanks so much.
Thanks, you guys.